I literally was on the plane longer than I was on the ground. You know, it was 22 hours going,
right.
22 hours coming back, and we were there for about a day and a half.
Wow.
And one day it was gorgeous and beautiful, and the next day it was raining sideways and the palm trees were touching.
Right.
You know, which is very much that kind of climate.
Yeah.
But it was one of the more special moments in all the seasons of having that opportunity.
Yeah, I love that, and you know, the lesson, you know, just be a good person. You never know when it might affect you in the future.
Yep, it's paying it forward. You know, you put good out there, you'll get good back. It's not always foolproof, but it's always better to put good out there.
Yeah, for sure. I'm going to stop fanboying out now. We have an audience mic right here. I'm sure tons of you have questions. Please, who wants to kick it off right here? Hello, good morning. Please, your question.
Hi, I'm Maggie. My question was, what was like the best part and some of the challenges of bringing back such an iconic character from Karate Kid, and also showing like the growth and the changes that he's gone through throughout the years?
That's a great question. That's really a good informed question. You know, it was interesting when once we all signed on to do this, to go back and put these, you know, get back into the skins of these characters, or the shoes, if you will. I mean, I've never left the shoes. He's been around all the time for me. People always say, oh, well, everything old is new again, congrats. And I'm like, it's never been old, you know? You come to me to a Comic-Con panel, Daniel LaRusso never grew old, you know what I mean? But, and I was wondering, how am I going to play this guy now? And do I have to think that hard about it? And I spoke to John, Josh, and Hayden about that, and we just, you know, there are similarities in my life to LaRusso's life. He's a little bit more knee-jerk temperamental than I am. I'm a little more analysis. He's a little more, you know, do first, think later, which makes for a more entertaining character. But, you know, I've had a long marriage, and I have 2 kids, and he's had a long marriage with 2 kids, and I've had success in life, and, you know, and some setbacks, but I've always kept my head up and moved forward, and that's somewhat what LaRusso's been. So it was more about just playing a version of him who has lived life, but the void is that he no longer has his mentor, his human Yoda, if you will, in Mr. Miyagi. So the challenges were, outside of doing martial arts at my age, that's #1 challenge. Way easier back then. Everything hurts more. Stretching and is so important, and it's harder. It's way harder. I don't spring or bounce back as quick. The biggest challenge was staying true to the LaRusso character, being open-minded enough to allow the sort of, you know, jerk of him to come through a little more. That was part of the Cobra Kai plan in redeeming Johnny Lawrence, is making LaRusso turn into someone who got a little over cocky and confident, made money, and I don't know if I would have believed that he would have went in that direction. I know why that works for the Cobra Kai series, and as seasons have gone on, we get to peel the onion layers and the gray areas of LaRusso, and you know his intentions are always good, even though sometimes he's acts like a knee-jerk idiot, because he's just so focused on not allowing the contamination of karate in the valley to Cobra Kai to take over. That was challenging for me, because I think, you know, I always thought in the real world, Daniel would have probably went back to Okinawa and revisited his romance with Kumiko. You know, I just felt that was an unfilled storyline. So, but that wasn't how it worked in the Cobra Kai world, and the essence of telling that story. So the challenges were being open-minded to a new avenues. But in that, it gives birth to more depth and more interesting things. You know, because as Spider-Man will tell you, there could be multiverses. So who knows what Daniel LaRusso would be in a different universe? You know, so that's how I remain open-minded to it. But proud of a lot of the moments, and also getting through those challenges, I think, is part of what keeps me on my toes. But thanks for the great question.
Absolutely, thank you so much.
Thank you very much. Hello, how are you? Your question.
Hello. So my name is Kaylee, and my sister was named after the Karate Kid. She is Allie with an I. I'm curious, why did you name your son Daniel with an L? With an L.
Well, it was a conversation between my wife and I, but she had something to do with it. What is probably less exciting for the fans, but truthful, is her best friend growing up. His name was Daniel, and it's her cousin, her first cousin, and a very important person in her life. So she always loved that name and always wanted to name, if we had a boy, Daniel. I was always like, yeah, that comes with a little bit of a caveat. Okay, we have to look at that. But as time went on, first of all, I think it's a great classic name that has stood the test of time. Maybe unlike Ralph. You know, I like to believe the name of my kids, Julia and Daniel, are those time-tested names that kind of never go out of style, whereas in Ralph, it might have. So, so that's why it came up, and it was always funny. I always tell this story. My son was really proud of it. He still is. He goes by Dan these days, just so it's not so quick to say, hey, Daniel's son. I'll never forget, I wrote a book that's coming out October 18th, all about walking in the shoes of the Karate Kid. It's called Waxing On, The Karate Kid and Me, and it's coming out October 18th. And one of the stories, little tidbit stories, when my son was in Little League, it was the first time he looked back at me and said, did you really have to do this? He was running around third, he must have been about 6, 7 years old, slipped and tripped, you know, which happens sometimes when you're rounding third and you're 6 and 7. And the opposing coach just goes, down goes LaRusso. And he looked back at me, he was like, really, Dad? Really? So that's one of the many, many stories in my life of Daniel LaRusso that's in the book coming out in October. So check it out when it drops.
Yeah.
Good question. Thank you.
Yeah, pull out your phones, pre-order on Amazon right now. Waxing on. Step on up to the mic. Hello.
Hello. My question is, what was the hardest scene you had to film?
Okay, so I would say the toughest thing physically, because that's what's more difficult now, the fight scenes in Cobra Kai, we don't have a lot of time, preparation time, whereas in the Karate Kid, we had weeks, if not months of time to prepare all the fight scenes. And Billy Zabka, who plays Johnny Lawrence, and I talk about it all the time. We're doing all these fight scenes, we have bruises all on our forearms and legs, and we're saying, like, why are we all bruised up when we did it back in the day? We never had that. It's because we had the preparation time. So you were stopping before all the contact, you know, and nowadays, on the show, we don't have the budget and the time, and there's also a lot more fighting. Cobra Kai is fighting, everybody fights, you steal a French fry, you get into a fight. There's a reason, every single problem is solved with some karate fight. Yeah. But that's part of the fun of the show. So the thing that's the toughest is preparing for that and not getting hurt. And then also, even in the emotional scenes, and even in the comedy scenes, not having the time to prep makes it a little more difficult, but it keeps us on our toes, and somehow with editing and good music, it covers all the mistakes.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thanks, buddy.
Come on up. Hello, your question.
Hi, my question is, can you still do the crane kick?
That's the normal Comic-Con question. It was easier, but I still have a pretty good front kick. No, I'm not doing it at this hour. So sorry about that. But there are some surprises and subsequent scenes that are coming in Cobra Kai that may not just be that kick, but there are some others that are, I come off pretty okay. Not quite 1984 level, but me and Billy talk about that all the time, you know. He said, we gotta fight like 50-year-olds, not like we did when we were 17 and 20. But yeah, the front kick is is a friendlier kick than a side kick or back kick, which involves more of the groin and lower back. So the front kick is more straight, you know, so that's just when you go this way, that's when it's
Ligaments involved.
Yeah.
Thank you. And yeah, I just met the man who invented the crane technique.
Yes, Darryl Vidal.
Darryl Vidal, who was also in the movie as a competitor as well.
Yes, he was, he fought Johnny Lawrence in the semifinals.
Yes.
He was the guy who had all those aerial, he was incredible.
Yeah.
He was like he was like the Baryshnikov of karate. Oh, that's a ballet dancer from like...
Yeah, you kids wouldn't know.
Sorry about that.
He was really good.
Give me old school folks out there.
Shout out to Mikhail. Your question.
Hi, my name's Alexis, and I was wondering what your favorite scene was on Cobra Kai filming.
That's a tough one, but I do have two scenes I reference. Besides, I have, you know, there's a special place in my heart always when I'm doing those scenes that connect with Mr. Miyagi at Miyagi's gravesite. That was a very special scene the first time. It's sort of, you know, he's sort of reaching out to his mentor to help him navigate his midlife crisis. But the two scenes that stand out, one is the first time Billy and I stepped back into the shoes of Daniel LaRusso and Johnny Lawrence, and that was the first time we were on screen together in 30 whatever years, and that was when I walk into the dojo and see episode 2 of season 1, and I say, I heard you beat up a bunch of kids out there, and I, you know, it's like, you know, he defends himself, and we stand on the mat, and I said, it's not over kind of thing, and it was just like, there was a silent conversation that Billy and I were having, like I'm looking at you right now, where we didn't even say it, but we were like, whoa, we have something here. I mean, there is history, this scene is working, this feels real life, and this, you know, might be another piece of Karate Kid magic. Because we didn't know, even though going into the concept, that it was, you know, we knew it was a good idea, you just don't know if it's going to work. That's one scene I mentioned, and the other one is in season 2, episode towards the end. It's in the elevator after Miguel takes that fall from the, you know, the balcony there, and this, all of a sudden the show gets like a big time soap opera, which it is. It's a moment in the elevator. There's no dialogue. It's just me and it's just LaRusso and Johnny Lawrence knowing that their actions created this and that they have to take responsibility for it. And there was nothing to be said, and I just love that scene. I just love all the all that's going on without anything said. Anytime you can do that, sometimes stuff is too talky, you know, and the dialogue becomes overwritten. It's kind of nice to just let the scene play out in the silences, and so that's a special one. I could go on and on. There's so many scenes I really like, but thanks for that question.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Step on up. Your question, sir.
Hey, I just wanted to say too that you're the best, and Young Hearts are still my #1 hit on my playlist every morning.
Young Hearts.
I appreciate that. All the kids in the cast are just incredible martial artists. So my question, and you can throw you and Billy at any age in here, who actually has the best chance of being the All Valley champs?
Listen, I get this question all the time, especially now. You know, listen, I had the Miyagi magic going, and God did he need it. But that's part of, listen, the thing, Billy's a great athlete, and he really is, you know, his kicks, his spinning heel kick is still scary. He really, I do not have that in my arsenal. So, I mean, you know, he's got probably 20-something more muscle pounds on him, so he's got an edge there. He's got a height advantage and a weight advantage. But, you know, I mean, the beauty of Daniel LaRusso in 1984, and the part of what I always talk about with the Karate Kid film, and especially in comparison to the 2010 remake, Daniel LaRusso was the every kid next door who had no business winning anything. That was the point, is that he represented a piece of all of us, and that hope and that wish fulfillment. So I'd like to give myself credit for being the non-athlete who's victorious, makes us all feel we have a chance. So how's that for tap dancing around your question?
That's a valid answer, my friend. Okay, yeah, Daniel's fueled by heart. And yeah, Johnny's fueled by Coors Banquet beers. So, your question?
What was your absolute favorite thing you've done while you've been here in Kansas City?
Wait, just say that one more time.
Your absolute favorite thing you've done while here in Kansas City?
Meeting all of you folks with big smiles on your faces. That's number one. I gotta say this. Everyone has been so appreciative, and I know I haven't done this in a couple of years for various reasons. Obviously, we've all had difficulties the last couple of years with COVID and such, but having the opportunity to put smiles on faces, it's a two-way street. It makes me happy. It's in a world that's not always happy. It's nice to be on the happy side of it. And also, I had a pretty darn good meal at 801 Chop House. What is that? What it's called? Pretty good last night. Pretty good. My cardiologist might have another thing to say about it, but but I've pretty much been here every minute and I appreciate you guys all waiting on the line. We try to move it through, but I also want to take time to with everyone, so it's not just a conveyor belt, you know. So thanks.
I love seeing those long lines, those like Stan Lee numbers that you're getting over there.
Really,
it's pretty awesome.
It's really wonderful to see, and it's all ages too, you know.
Oh, yeah.
You get kids who have the book for the outsiders, and I write "Stay Gold," and they get all excited.
Yeah.
It's really wonderful. I've had a few cans of tuna that I've signed for My Cousin Vinny. It's kind of fun. I shot the clerk, ? You know, one of the two Utes. So it's kind of fun to tap into all that. I mean, The Karate Kid is the tentpole, certainly, and Cobra Kai now, but it's touching on all those films, Crossroads as well. A lot of musicians. It's Kansas City, man. So the blues is big time, and it's awesome to touch on all of that.
Yeah, for sure. Your questions?
Good morning. Welcome to Kansas City.
Thank you, sir.
My name's Dirk, and I have 3 teenage daughters. I can't tell you how many times they've been upset or overwhelmed, and I've told them, usually in my horrible Mr. Miyagi impersonation, how that lesson about balance isn't a lesson about their entire life. And I can usually get them to smile, but it's real advice. My question has to do with that pivotal How I Met Your Mother episode. So I watched this, and I would have been completely satisfied with the episode if it was just you and the Barney character and him giving you barbs about Daniel being the villain and Johnny being the hero. But then when Billy starts pulling off that makeup at the end saying, they almost didn't get me, they had to pursue me, and it was just this jaw-dropping moment. Can you describe the experience of being on that episode, revisiting those self-aware actors that played those characters, and talk about maybe how much of a catalyst that was for the Cobra Kai show?
It's a great question. The How I Met Your Mother situation came up. I initially passed on it when they came. Well, I played myself in Entourage, and it was a really cool episode, and so I thought that was cool, and I was hesitant to do another version of Ralph Macchio and some other thing that was not fully, the narrative was not fully realized. And when I first heard the How I Met Your Mother pitch, it was sort of just using Ralph Macchio as